release that he can't get to.
Yo, what is going on, guys? We're going to be talking about NHL cover athletes today. As you guys know, NHL 18 news has been swirling lately, and we're going to get more news about it come the NHL awards. But it's time to bring up the question of who's going to be on the cover of NHL 18. So what we're going to do today is we're going to compile a list of 5 players that I think are most deserving of being on the NHL cover that have never been on the NHL cover before. And I want to bring this up before we get started, and that is the fact that I did not include young guys. I tried to get guys that, you know, been in the league some 10, 15 years or so. I didn't put in these younger guys like, oh, you could obviously say, well, McDavid deserves it. Well, Carey Price deserves it, you know, but they're younger players. I tried to put some older guys in there that are, you know, most notable, that are possibly guys very likely that won't ever grace the cover of an NHL game if it doesn't happen soon. So what we're going to start off here is a top 5 list. At number 5 is Shea Weber. This player is definitely probably the most surprising choice to those of you watching this list, but I wanted to try to get one D-man in there. He's only 5 goals shy of being the leading goal scorer among active D-men in the NHL, only a record currently held by current Bruins player Zdeno Chara, but Chara also has about 500 more games played than Shea Weber, so we put him in at number 5. Number 4, Henrik Lundqvist. This spot was a tough choice between the King and Roberto Luongo. Lou is the most winningest active goalie in NHL, but Hank is right behind him. I think Lundqvist just put up more of those lights out type seasons in his career, and we also know that goalies on the cover of an NHL game are a very, very rare commodity, so he will be the only one to make this list, and had he had a few cups to his name, I think he'd be a little bit higher on this list. Number 3 is Jaromir Jagr, the second all-time leading scorer in the NHL, and he is yet to yield a cover on an NHL game. One of the greatest players of all time. He is the only player who has been an active player in the league every single NHL cover since the NHL series has started. That's a lot of years, by the way, if you didn't know. Number 2 is Wayne Gretzky. Gretzky isn't number 1 on this list for the pure fact that he currently isn't an active player in the league, so that, you know, the light on him isn't shed as brightly as the guy at number 1 is. Frankly, he was nearing the end of his career when NHL games started coming out and cover athletes became a big deal. There was no NHL game when Gretzky was in his prime, resulting in there being less game cover athletes chosen during his career, if that makes sense. You know, say a guy like Jagr's had 20 years being an active to have a choice to be on a cover, while Gretzky, say he only had 4 or 5 years active to have a chance to be on the cover. Also should be noted that Gretzky was on an NHL Slapshots video game, but that was not an actual, you know, mainstream NHL game, so I don't really count that as being a cover athlete. But number 1 is Sidney Crosby. Just done a big discussion on him in a previous video about that PK Subban incident, and as expected, I was a salty piece of unused trash that's biased and hates the Pens because of what I said, and you just hate Crosby and you're jealous and all this other stuff, and you're mad because your team's not to play, you know, all the stuff I expected out of that video. Well, those of you who know my vids well, I try to keep bias out of all my content when it comes to situations like this, and that's what leads us to Sidney Crosby not ever being on an NHL cover, ever. For years he didn't make it because it's been a fan voted cover, and, you know, because people just hated Crosby, and there was also a few cases where he wasn't even available as a voting option. Now, I think some people start to shed light on it later in his career, but there's still going to be a lot of Sidney Crosby haters. That's what happens when you're the best at anything. Take it as a compliment. That's why he takes the abuse. That's why he takes the hate he does. That's how life works. You know, every sport's like that. Guys don't like seeing somebody be successful. That's how people work. But you can't look past the fact that this guy is the best player of our generation. And I say that very carefully because, you know, you can look at McDavid, but I like to think of McDavid as, you know, that next generation kind of guy. And undoubtedly, Crosby is the most deserving guy in the NHL right now of being on the cover. And he's yet to make it on the cover. Considering you consider this guy's the face and all this other nonsense, and he's not on the cover. It's quite crazy to think they haven't put him on there yet. It's about time we see a Sidney Crosby come on the cover of NHL. I'd like to know what you guys think. Some other guys that should have been on the cover. I know there's a lot of them, so let me know what you guys think. As always, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.